Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Clearing with Claire weekly webinar. I'm Claire Stringer, and through Clearing with Claire, I love providing people with holistic and natural tools for creating their life and the world they'd like to live in. And today I have a really special guest on the webinar with me. I have Kristan Browne here. And Kristan is going to talk to us today about creating our space using scent and how much scent can really support us in what we're doing day to day and just enrich our lives. So let me tell you a little bit about Kristan before we get started. Kristan is a committed aesthetic. And what that means is that in relating to the sciences of aesthetic, it means that it's a person concerned with the study of the mind and emotions in relation to a sense of beauty. And Kristan designs interior spaces and landscapes for individuals and businesses that are transformational and uniquely tailored with her clients' intentions in mind. Kristan is a champion of small businesses and entrepreneurial ventures as well. And as the successful founder and owner of several small businesses over the years, Kristan is currently offering her personal experience and expertise to solopreneurs and small business owners who are ready to live their personal definition of success, wealth, and abundance. Her creative business building system guides her clients out of entrepreneurial burnout, which I know about too, and fatigue into time and financial freedom. Kristan is an active member of the community with a passion for education. She's a dedicated volunteer and board member of Monrovia Providers Group, offering senior services, and a member of the APLD. Kristan, can you tell us what that stands for?
Yes, that is the Association of Professional Landscape Designers.
Landscape designers. I thought so, but I just went.
Yes, yes. So I am a member of the Greater Los Angeles area chapter that is a nationwide organization. So I'm very happy. I was formerly on the board. I am currently on a different board, but yes, I believe giving back is a big part of what I do, as well as my more professional life.
Yeah, I think that's so inspiring. I love also you mentioned that you participated in this year's LA County homeless count in order to provide better services and housing for the county's growing homeless population. And I have been hearing about that, as the homeless population grows to staggering proportions here, they're really putting a lot of funding and taking some really great steps to address that issue. So that's awesome that you've been a part of that.
Yeah, it's definitely, I mean, as you mentioned, I love creating spaces for people that work for them and speak to them and inspire them. And it just really breaks my heart to recognize that the homeless population is growing in Los Angeles County significantly. And I felt like, that was something that I could definitely do. And it's fun. I'll just put in a quick plug. I definitely would encourage everyone to look. They do it every year, and it's really a very, very easy way to give back.
Oh, yeah. How is there a website where you can sign up to volunteer?
There is. Gosh.
We can always post it.
I'll have to post that later. Yeah, but
let's do that
it's good.
That's very near and dear to all of our hearts that live here and drive through downtown and see what's going on.
Definitely.
So, well, now that we've heard a little bit about you, I'd love to jump in and talk to you about a little bit more about your design work, but also especially designing with scent and why that's such a powerful design element that's often overlooked.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I definitely, when I work with my clients, and I work very closely to get to know them, and it is a lot about developing the relationship with my clients, because I am asking them, it's we're really designing an intentional space as opposed to like interior decorating or just kind of fluffing something. It's really a very
it's not about just
a
picture to look at in a magazine, or even just something that you're proud to show friends when they come over.
Right, exactly. And so in that, I will ask people, how do they want the space to function? And so a lot of times people, they can get, they might have the first kind of 3 things on their wish list that come to mind really easily. But if we kind of need to dig a little bit deeper, I will ask them to go just to kind of close their eyes, visualize an ideal space, and think about it in terms of all of the different senses. So how does it, not only does what maybe the view is, but, how does it feel in terms of like temperature and maybe some of the textiles, and also the emotional feeling. And then scent is definitely one that, and a lot of times people are like, well, I don't know
right.
We all know that we want it to smell good.
Nice, not bad, not garbage smell, not letterbox, but
exactly. And it's like, so I think that scent is it's so powerful, and pretty much anyone that you talk to knows that feeling of, being someplace and then encountering a smell that just brings you back to a memory instantaneously, or an emotion, because scent, where it resides, and I'm not a brain surgeon or brain scientist, but my rudimentary understanding is I kind of see it as, if we think of our brain as this incredible set of freeways, being a true Southern Californian, it's that intersection of, where smell is and where emotion and imagination and memory. So the limbic system. And that's why when you have just that incredible power of recollection with scent.
Yeah, I think it's such amazing information that's coming out, like brain science has just gone so far in the past
so fascinating
5 years, but studying essential oils and learning that, just as you're talking about, that there's actually olfactory senses in that part of the brain, as we would see like in our nose, that what we associate with actually smelling. So it's like our brain smells.
Right. I mean, literally the nose is just the delivery system.
Yeah, exactly. And in thinking about how much that can impact us too, because the limbic system, that's where our feelings reside, our emotions, and that's really where a lot of our decision making gets done, right? So that just makes me think scent can have a really big impact, more than we account for, especially.
And I think that as we mentioned, scent can be very personal in that it brings a specific memory to you, but we also know that there's some universality in terms of how different scents affect us. And so that's what I love about the essential oils, because in the time that we've spoken, particularly about, how to bring them into your creative process, your workplace, and also and then we kind of expanded, and that's why we ended up here today, that they really, scent has a place in all of our spaces.
Yeah. Let's talk more about that. Like, I love a quote that you sent over here. The beauty of fragrance is that it speaks to your heart. So that's a quote by Elizabeth Taylor, who's famous for her fragrances.
Yes. It's, and selected that quote because I do think that fragrance is so not only powerful, but it is beautiful. I mean, in that, in that space where it does bring forth these different emotions and memories, and it also, as I mentioned, the kind of the universal sense that help us relax, and de-stress, the ones that can kind of pick us up. And then also the ones that really, I'm so, I believe all of us to be incredibly creative beings, but yet, when we are stressed or when we are just kind of on the daily journey that's so busy for so many of us, I love that scent really can ground us. I mean, people talk a lot about regaining balance in their life. We're all striving for this balance, and I think you can speak a little bit more professionally on the exact sense that can do that. But I know that there are the essential oils have that ability. So that's why I love the joining of the two of us at this space.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit more specifically about what scents have what effect and how that might specifically to our spaces and our
well, I think so much of when we think of our homes, if we want to start there, we want to relax.
Yeah.
Pure and simple. I mean, we want to come home and we want to feel nurtured. We want to feel, we want to feel welcomed. If we are bringing guests over, we want them to feel welcomed. We just want that kind of ease. And I think that's where, especially at the point of, I talk a lot to my clients about how important it is to design entries with intention, and both the entries that they bring guests in, but even more so the entries that they bring themselves into the home each day.
Yeah.
And so, to have that, I was referring to it as kind of a hug of smell, or, a positive scent to greet you.
Yeah. I think that's something, I mean, a lot of times, driving around in LA and dealing with traffic and just bustling through life, a lot of times I just think, I want to go home. I'm ready to go home.
And there's also, and this is where I would love to have your input, because I think that there's that wanting to come home and de-stress. And then, we also have, if we look at specifically the bedroom, that's kind of a whole different level of relaxation and sleep and, and just peacefulness. So I think, I know kind of some of the general, scents that do that, but I'd love kind of, I know that we've touched on some. Can you?
Yeah. I think, for the bedroom, lavender is a really great one because it has so many great properties to it. All of the oils have kind of a physiological aspect and also the emotional and more like limbic brain aspect to them, how people relate to them emotionally and energetically. And lavender is known to be very calming, very soothing. It's always been a really popular scent for people. But it is one of the best known for a calming effect. And it also has other properties that are cleansing to the air. So that's another great reason to use lavender. There are other oils that also support getting a really restful night's sleep. But I think what we were touching on a little bit, I actually have it here with me now, Balance is another really calming oil. And I just have to smell it because it's one of my favorites. But this is one of doTERRA's blends of oils. And so what's in this one is spruce, hoe wood, frankincense, blue tansy, blue chamomile, and some fractionated coconut oil. So both of, the spruce is very woodsy as well as the hoe wood. And so that's basically, this to me smells like a walk in the forest, and just that feeling of relaxing and letting everything go, knowing that all is well. So that's something that I would use in a bedroom.
Yeah, and I also really love that, because you had given me a little sample of that, and I have recommended it to folks for that entry space, because I do feel like it's I love that scent too, because for me it's that, we hear a lot more about how nature helps us kind of reconnect with ourselves and is the de-stressor. And so, like you mentioned, it does bring that instant thought of a walk in the woods or a hike. And so, imagine walking into your home, whatever that looks like, and being greeted with this scent that it's really, I like it too, because it's a really clean scent. Yeah. It's not cloying at all. And so, which I think can kind of feel a little bit heavy sometimes. So at the same time that it gives you that feeling of being out in nature and really calming, it's also kind of, it also is invigorating in another way. I don't know how to describe it, but I mean, when I smell it, and like I've said, when I've suggested for entryways, it's that refreshing kind of, yeah. So I love that one too, for the entryway. I think is so great. And I've used lavender before in bedrooms, because as you mentioned, it's that calming and that peaceful. But I love when you were sharing the samples of the doTERRA, the lavender was so, again, I think that's what I was struck by with all of the oils, is how clean the scents are.
Yeah.
There's such purity that you don't have these kind of distractions.
I think that does have to do with the purity, the certified pure therapeutic grade, that, I mean, literally down to every single molecule in the bottle is certified to only be exactly what it says in there. There's absolutely no like alcohols or fillers or anything like that. And
it makes a difference.
Chemically created.
Yeah. So it was almost smelling your lavender was even a little bit of a different experience. It was really nice.
Yeah. And I definitely want to share with people too, like, we're kind of talking about like bringing scent into your space. And so obviously, another great way like that people enjoy is plants, or cut, fresh flowers, like stargazer lilies. But when we're talking about using the oils, I love to use the balance oil in my bedroom morning and night. I put it on the bottom of my feet. I often rub some on my chest too. This is really just calming way to kind of bookend, close my day and reopen it.
Yeah.
And the other best way to use these oils would be to have a cool mist diffuser. That's something that, having a couple of them is ideal, because then, you can have one in the living area or by your entryway that you can plug in when you get home, or people are coming over, or you're just enjoying the space. I often like to run the one in my bedroom when I'm sleeping, because sometimes I'll use the Breathe blend, which has peppermint in it, which is another scent that I know you had picked out, because it's another great combination of soothing and invigorating. Helps with mental clarity.
Yes.
It can be a great pick-me-up in the middle of the day.
Yeah, that definitely, peppermint I think is a wonderful that, and kind of shifting gears from the bedroom and entry and kind of your more private spaces and thinking more about kind of your public space or your workspace. I love, peppermint is kind of that great afternoon pick me up. And
Yeah.
I mean, the other one too that I'll recommend a lot of times for people is citrus. Is such a great. It's a very happy scent,
Yeah.
and it and then it also again is that that I feel like it's like a breath of fresh air, especially when you can get a little foggy in the afternoon.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the favorite, all-time favorite diffuser blends that we use a lot.
Oh, is it?
Peppermint and wild orange.
Oh, okay.
And that it's just a great combination. And like, I was at a doTERRA table doing an event called Race to Erase MS the other week, and it was just great because we had a diffuser going and people were coming over and literally just like wafting.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh, this smells so great.
Oh, I bet.
That's another that's an important thing to note because I know people who use scented candles in their space, or like even plugins, something.
Yeah.
And that that is another way to design your space with scent. And there are a lot of great natural and soy and candles on the market now, but I would want to caution people, and of course, as always, like suggest going with the most pure and natural route for your health and your kids, your pets, anyone who's in your space, because those scents are made in a lab and they're not something that your body recognizes as natural, and they're organic, and it's recognized more like a toxin. And burning paraffin, which most candles are made out of, this paraffin wax is a petrochemical. So definitely know your scent and know the way that you're delivering it into your space.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and I love candles both for the, and some of them come in really beautiful containers, and
yes,
and so they're fun, and I'm also a big plant person. So I think there's great ways to deliver scent, and through, we were just talking earlier about a great plant to place by your window or by your front door.
What was that? So it's
osmanthus.
It's in the Elevation blend, and it was something that I hadn't heard of before. This is the Joyful blend from doTERRA, which has really interesting notes in it. And so osmanthus is what it's called.
Osmanthus, yes. The more common name for the plant is a sweet olive.
Okay.
And I was mentioning that it's here in Southern California, it's grown more as a shrub. It can eventually get to kind of a decent tree, pretty slow growing, not a showy flower at all, but just incredible fragrance. So when you were, describing that blend to me, I was like, oh gosh, and it's amazing to me too that doTERRA would have that, because I feel like it's known, but it's it's not common necessarily,
right?
Not nowadays, anyways.
Yeah, well, they do a lot of research to find what plants have the greatest properties, in addition to where they grow the best, so that they do have more of the therapeutic properties. So I guess they've hunted it down because of its joyful properties. Well, I'll have to look out for that. Does it have a leaf that looks like an olive leaf?
No, it has it is a much darker green, and it actually is a slightly, where the olive tree is that dusty, I love olives, but the dusty kind of gray green, and osmanthus is a more shiny leaf and a darker green leaf, and a broader leaf rather than kind of the narrow of the olive. So I'm not sure why it's called that.
I know. Just to confuse us.
Just to confuse us. Well, I want, because both, I have a home office, and and I know you were mentioning working in your studio. And so, I do I love working with people who are working from home and looking to create a really great home workspace, because, and I think that that's one of kind of the most challenging spaces, and where scent
let's
really,
talk about that.
I think that is where scent can really just come into play and make the difference between a, kind of frazzled day and a really, I kind of hesitate to use the word productive, but a really meaningful day.
Meaningful, that's a good one.
And as I mentioned, creativity. I think that's, I think no matter what we do, when we're bringing our creative selves into our work, it's our best work.
Yes.
So I know that that's why I was quizzing you about what were you using in your studio day.
That was, if you're on my Clearing with Claire Facebook page, you'll see it there. I post a little picture of my diffuser, and the 3 that I was using yesterday were the balance that we were mentioning, the spruce blend. And that's because this oil is great for grounding. And that's something, even though art and making art is one of my greatest joys in life, I find myself having a hard time getting myself to go sit down and do it. And I think a lot of us can identify with that.
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
Having your own business too.
Yeah, it's so funny because we play these little games with ourselves in terms of finding all these other things to do, these distractions that keep us really from our core work where we are most joyful. And I think that finding that a little bit of quiet, mental quiet and all is so necessary.
Yeah. This so I use the balance, and I also have a wild orange in there, which smells like fresh squeezed oranges. It's just incredible. And this, as we mentioned, the citrus is very uplifting, helps promote a optimistic mood, and wild orange is also known kind of energetically as the oil of abundance. So that's something I always like to have around in the studio.
Oh yeah, definitely in our workspace. We want that one.
And then the third one that I used was that elevation blend that we were mentioning that has the osmanthus in it, but it just has a lot of great stuff in it. It actually has melissa in it, ylang ylang, lavender, sandalwood. So that one is kind of for the inspiration aspect, joyful, transcendental, uplifting. So that made a pretty interesting blend. I'm always personally, I get so focused on what the oils are doing that sometimes I'm like, well, it's almost secondary how it smells.
Right. Oh yeah.
Oh, this smells nice too.
Yeah. Oh, I can see that.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to, in kind of preparing for, talking about this in a kind of, so much of what I do, it's so funny, is very, it's so second nature to me. So when to talk about different aspects of my business, I do make some preparation because I realize that I'm not, not everyone swims in the same, sea that I kind of am deep into. And so one of the really great little tidbits that came out of my research in terms of scent was talking about when, earlier we were talking about the scent, bringing back that memory of something specific.
Yeah.
But that one very intentional way of using scent is to have a scent while you are doing a particularly kind of memory intensive task.
Yeah, that's
and so if you've got your diffuser or however you're delivering the scent, and then to bring that scent back into your environment when you are, for instance, if you were trying to memorize a talk, or you're studying for some sort of exam, or anything where you just feel like
with your lines.
Yes, exactly. It can be so, I think everybody's business has an element where, you're taking in information and you want to be able to recall it in a way where you're not fumbling through your notes.
Right. Yeah.
And, and I even was testing that out for myself in preparation for our talk and using peppermint. And so I have some peppermint to help me kind of jar my memory. And it's really, it's really interesting because, just as we were saying that, we have all these floods of memories that are, it's not necessarily, it's just the way it happened, and we can use scent in a really intentional way.
Yeah.
And it can be, and my understanding is that it can be a scent that you select, and that you enjoy. So certainly to bring it back when you are ready to impart your information.
Yeah.
Because you were talking about putting the balance on the soles of your feet and on your chest. And so, for instance, if I could try that for the next time, is before my next talk, is, put a little bit on my chest and then, have some there when I am actually giving my next presentation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I love that too, because as we talked about, like, we want to feel relaxed, and, especially if you have your own business and you're wearing so many hats and being creative and everything, it's a great way to help your body remember what it's like to relax and to get you into that state again, because just the association of smelling the balance oil, it has, like I said, it has its own physiological properties that are, supportive to your body and to your, nervous system, or just calming you. But just smelling it, then you think like, oh, I felt relaxed before when I used this, or even just the intention of using it, like, okay, now I'm doing something to relax myself and I'm going to that relaxed place. And I find that to be really effective.
Well, I think that's, that's pretty, gosh. I just think of that in terms of the couple of weeks I've had this last couple of weeks, which have been, fun and great, but just really busy, and that need to remember. It's kind of sad when you're thinking I need to remember how to relax, but it's so true.
It's easy to happen though.
It is. And I think that, whatever you can use to kind of prompt your body into that, to being more receptive to that, is just, is a good thing. Yeah. Absolutely. I think that's such a little nugget that I just got out of what you were saying. And there was something else too that I was just, and I, it's, again, kind of, if we talk about the way the brain works, it is physiologically impossible to be creative when we're stressed. It's just that part of your brain, the creative part just kind of shuts down while you're freaking out.
Along with your digestion.
Yeah, so many things. We know why stress is, and that's, it's, And that's why I was so excited to do this with you, because, you know, so often I'll talk to people about spending some time and money on their spaces. And, you know, one thing I say is that this is, you know, it's part of your well-being to have a, you know, in a calm, I talk, you know, obviously a lot of us have a lot of stuff, whether it's stuff that we're doing or stuff in our heads or stuff in our actual homes. So I mean, I talk a lot about kind of that clearing. But you know, this is all of this is so tied to our well-being, and that's why, you know, and this what you're doing is also so intrinsic to our well-being. So I love just highlighting how scent can really, I feel like for your space, it's like, it just brings it to a whole another level of intentionality and kind of, it's like one of those really subtle but important finishing touches.
Yeah, it brings another level of life to the space.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's that you're not just walking into four walls with some stuff in it, but
yeah,
it has a new experiential level to it.
Oh yeah, and that's what I think too, is just so great about the doTERRA sense that you shared with me, is that I was talking about how kind of clean and pure they are, but it's, and which they are, but I don't mean to, what I really love about them, and in terms of the work that I do, because, you know, so much, I do put a lot of detail into working with my clients and creating these spaces. But so there's nothing simplistic about the doTERRA oils, you know, even though they are very pure and clean, there's just these really rich layers. Even when it's a single, it doesn't even have to be a blend, even when it's a single note, so to speak.
Yeah, that's what has really amazed me, even just touching the surface of the kind of research that's done about essential oils, and that doTERRA does as well. The oils literally are incredibly molecularly complex, and that's why we say, like, just one drop of oil can serve every cell in your body, because they're so molecularly complex that there's enough molecules in that drop of doTERRA oil for a molecule to go to every cell of your body, which is, I won't try to tell you the number because I don't remember how many billion, but we're talking a lot of molecules. So yeah, they're just amazing that way. And in terms of the scent, you know, there's been testing done, like with Melaleuca, I know for sure is an oil that's been tested to show that just the aromatic compounds, you know, of course, scent is actually tiny molecules that we're inhaling. It's not completely insubstantial, but just the aromatic compounds of having the Melaleuca open in lab studies has been shown to have an effect, like a cleansing, or I think that studies have been done with fungus with it. Don't quote me on that exactly, but I just remember reading about that and thinking, wow, it really is, you know, it's awesome that you can put these oils on your body and ingest them, but just smelling them and having them in your space really does have a palpable effect, because the aromatic compounds are so complex.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I have no doubt. And it's, I don't know. I think it's a really exciting, I'm excited to have been introduced to these the doTERRA essential oils because of, I mean, they're very much, they're, because they are so pure and because there has been so much thought, and also because it's, it appeals to me that it's a very responsibly run company.
Yeah,
and
me
that's
too. That's important.
always, that's always a plus too.
Yeah, we could, that's a whole nother one.
Yeah, that's a whole other talk.
Stuff they're doing. Well, before we move on, I just wanted to give a little recap for people in case anyone's taking notes. Just from the kind of the bullet points that you sent me, just to recap and say that peppermint is one of the scents that has a mentally stimulating effect. It's invigorating. It promotes mental clarity. Citrus has a cheerful and uplifting effect. Lavender and the balance blend that we talked about are known for their stress relieving properties. So is there, I think we covered a little bit like how you would work with clients and getting them to think about the function of the space, and whether they want to use the oils as a kind of gateway to their memory or to create an open mindset or a feeling of abundance or more balance in their life. But I know that you had a couple other quotes that you wanted to share with us.
I think that, I just, in terms of when I was speaking earlier about connecting with my clients and really gaining some clarity around the function of the space, that for me is the jumping off point for design inspiration, because I think that there's so much beauty in functionality. It's the most beautiful space in the world. If it doesn't kind of do what you want it to do, is really is not that beautiful. And I love designing for people who are actually going to use their spaces. That's really important to me. And it's, and my favorite clients are those where, we're designing one of the nice kind of the balancing acts that I do is that so often people, it's like, we talk a lot about how they're currently living their lives, and kind of what they'd like to maybe change or alter, or what is their vision of how they'd like to be living their life. And so creating a space that really that can help them transition from that. And so if it's, it could be as simple as they want to be able to have family over for different gatherings.
Right.
So creating a space that is accommodating and comfortable, and that they're proud of, that kind of thing. So I think that's, that's that functionality piece, which can sound a little clinical, I guess. But I think that there's so much beauty in function and also real simplicity. And so it's, and I love, I just, because I'm, working so closely with them, I do, I want them to kind of have the joy and have the calm and all of that I think a really, your home, hopefully, especially your home should have. And then because of my, my work as a entrepreneur and in supporting other entrepreneurs, I really, really, stress that it's, or emphasize, I'll say, that our workspaces are just so important
Mm-hmm.
to have intention and attention paid to them. And it is, and I love the different layers. And so that's why it's so fun to introduce scent into a space as a design element. And like we said, it's subtle, and but most good things are, right. I mean, it's not hitting you over the head. It's really that subtlety and how powerfully it connects us and can kind of just literally open us up to some really neat possibilities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I absolutely feel that way. And I really just, I really encourage people to try it and to take that time to activate their space with scent in whatever way works for them. Because I do find it to be so supportive. And, I was just thinking about this today. People say like, oh, I haven't had time to try that. I know some people who've gotten the oils and been excited about it and then been like, oh, but I have so much going on, I can't figure it out. And that's part of what's great about doTERRA, is that you actually receive, support and mentorship in using the oils. But, so I'm there to say like, hey, we'll just grab your lavender. But it's one of those things, just like meditation, that the more you think you can't meditate, the more you need to meditate. Like, if you think you're busy, meditate twice as much as.
Yeah.
It's the same way.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and it
takes a lot less time to use them.
It's a lot faster, and well, it's true. And in the creative business systems that I teach with clients too, I have a lot of times where people say, oh God, that sounds so good, and I'll do it when I have time. And it's like, well, these are actually tools that you will regain and gain back time,
and more quality in your time,
and more quality. So I do. It's just such a. I love connecting with you about this, because it's all so interconnected and supportive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love talking with you about this too. Because, as our audience may not know, but I worked with Kristan, supporting her on her Wealth Rooms Telesummit series of interviews, which was just awesome. And I'm
two times,
and I think we both have that combination of like just beauty lovers and appreciators of nature and beauty, but also simplicity and function. And I love what you're doing with your clients, because I know it's so needed, especially for entrepreneurs who just, it's easy to get overwhelmed, and creating a space that really works for you, and that like, okay, here are my pencils, here are my textiles, here's anything. It's just a very basic level of organization and just the things that make you feel good. And that's what, how personal scent is, and having that in your space. It could be whatever you choose and whatever brings that effect for you. I think that's another just great quality of it, is that it can be so really personal.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. In the best way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think too, I mean, that we talked about this a little bit offline, but is, because you can apply them to your person. It's when you go out in the world, other people are experiencing the scent
Yeah.
and definitely interacting with
Mm-hmm.
you on that. And
Yeah.
so kind of to think about, I mean, if you're thinking about it in terms of a kind of in a business way, it's almost a branding of yourself,
Yeah, absolutely.
and what you're bringing with your business. So
Yeah, that's such an awesome point. I'm really glad you brought that up because I just love the idea of creating a personally branded blend, and it's so fun.
yes.
We can can easily with the oils, having a couple oils, you can easily do that with what you have at hand, just like what we've covered. It's like, oh, well, I want to have, people to have this like luxurious feeling of abundance and uplifting. Oh, well, that's wild orange, but I'd also want
Mhm.
a little earthiness to it. Okay, we'll put some balance blend in that.
Yeah, and then the memory piece, I mean, it's not just our own memories, right? I mean,
Yeah,
then the next time, potentially we encounter this person, there's, it jogs their memory too.
right. Exactly. Yeah.
So it's just I just thought I'd slip that in. I think that's such a fun kind of business tool
Yeah.
that's a little added, a little bit outside of our conversation, but just so interesting to me.
Yeah, I'm really glad you brought that up too because I also, like I said, I love the idea of doing a live workshop with that one, and everyone goes home with
Oh
a
yeah.
mini bottle of their branded scent. Yeah, yeah. Good things in the works. Good things in the works.
Well, good, good. I'll definitely, I want to be a part of that one.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, I would love to know also, like, you also created the Pasadena Creative Entrepreneur Boot Camp, right? Which
Yes.
I had the pleasure of talking to your people 1 week, which was
Yes.
really fun. What have you got going on with that? What else would you like to share with people and
Oh gosh. Well,
like
thank
you?
you for bringing that up. Yes, that is, we are a pretty big group at this point, and the last boot camp meeting for April was about your reimagining and recrafting your elevator speech. And that one I actually did on our Facebook page. And
Oh,
or
great.
if you're a member of our group, then you got the handout. And so we are continuing to work on that because I think that is such an important
That's an
piece.
ever ongoing.
Yeah,
For those of you who may not know, if you're not currently an entrepreneur, in sales or whatever, and it's called an elevator speech because the idea is that you could express to someone so quickly and succinctly and potently who you are and what you do in the span of going from the first floor to the third floor.
exactly.
Just
Thank
using a
you.
couple sentences. So yeah, where can people find that? What's
You
your
know what? The best place is to go to my website, which is atrinity.com. And there is a link right to the Pasadena Creative Entrepreneurs Group.
great?
And then that way they can get the materials. There's also, I wanted just to say that I would welcome anyone who gets a chance to listen to this, and if you share it with a friend, this is an offer that is open. I am happy to extend a 35-minute mini makeover, space makeover.
Ooh,
So yes, so
oh,
on
that's very
again,
generous. So is that that's something that can be done like?
on my website,
Uh,
they can actually on the schedule now page. There will be an actual link to that,
okay.
and it will say clearing with
Yes.
Claire. So just make sure to click on that one, and I'd love to talk about the different scents and that we could use, and also how to get your space working for you.
Great. Well, that's really generous. Is that something that people who are out of the area, and is that over the phone?
Yes,
or how do you-
I definitely do work with people remotely. Skype is fantastic, so we can do that. There's a lot of different ways to approach it, and even still images. I've worked with a bunch of clients where we are looking at different still images and working through it. So you do not have to be local, because we can do this. We have lots and lots of tools at our disposal to do this from anywhere.
Awesome. Well, if anyone here and watching this, definitely take Kristan up on that. That's really generous.
Yeah, please do.
So helpful and powerful to your life, for sure. I know through working with you that, your ideas have a great impact on our spaces.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. I love it. I love everything I do.
Yeah, it's really important. And I think that what you have, what you do with the spaces, with having your amazing interior and exterior design, and the entrepreneur part and the beauty part, all of it comes together in such an awesome cocktail. So thank you so much for being with us, Kristan. It's been awesome to talk to you about this, and I definitely look forward to continuing our conversations as always. And I just want to let everyone know that you can check this out on my Facebook page. I'll be posting it there at facebook.com/clearingwithclaire. Kristan's site, it's spelled a Trinity. I'll definitely post that, but it's ATTRINITI.
Yes.
That was a little spelling test for you.
I know, you did very well.
And we will see you here next week.
Thank you so much, Claire.
Thanks, Kristan. Bye.
Bye now.